Hello everyone, welcome to Mechanical Sati. So today again we'll continue our lecture series which we started for Vizag Steel. So in this series we are discussing 10 MCQs every day. So today also we'll try to solve 10 MCQs. So in the previous class we have already solved first 10 MCQs. So if you have not watched that video, then go to the playlist of Vizag Steel MT and you can find from there. So do watch it. So let us start video for today without wasting time. Okay, so for today first question, and it is the 11th number question. So let us read it. The Lewis equation for design of a gear is fundamentally based on certain assumptions. Okay, so when we are designing the gear, okay, so there are certain assumptions according to the Lewis equation. So what are those assumptions? Okay, so it is asking to find out which of the below assumptions are correct. So statement 1 is telling that effect of stress concentration is to be considered. Okay, so in case of your Lewis equation, we are not considering the stress concentration. So statement 1 cannot be the answer. Statement 2 is telling that only one pair of teeth in contact and takes the load. Okay, so it can be the answer, and this statement is correct. So option, that is statement 2 is correct. Again let us check all two statements. The tangential component of the gear force is uniformly distributed, obviously. So this statement is also correct. The tangential component of the gear force is uniformly distributed. And the last statement is telling that the radial force of load inducing compressive stress is neglected. So in case of your Lewis equation, we are neglecting the induced compressive stress along the radial component of load, okay, due to the radial component of load. So again fourth statement is also correct. So we can say only statement 1 is incorrect. It is not the correct assumptions according to the Lewis equation. So statement 2, 3 and 4 are correct. So according to that, our option number 3 will be the correct answer for this question. So here our option 3 will be the correct answer. So let us move towards next question, that is question number 12. So it is asking to find out or that a cutter joint is used to connect two rods which are in. Okay, so cutter joint is used to connect two rods or two shafts which are in. Options are given like tensions only, that is compression only, and tension and compression only, and the last option is showing that it is your shear only. Okay, so when cutter joint is connected between two shafts, so it can resist the tension force and compression as well. So our option 3 will be the correct answer. Okay, so do remember this, cutter joint used to connect two rods which are in tension as well as in compression. Okay, so for this question number 12, your option number 3 will be the correct answer. Then moving towards next question, that is question number 13. So here it is telling that the equation of free vibration, so it is a free vibration equation in the system. Okay, and the equation is given like x double dot plus 36 pi square x is equal to 0. So we need to find out the natural frequency. So let us try to find out the natural frequency of the system. So generally that free vibration equation is written in terms of your mx double dot plus kx is equal to 0. Okay, and we need to first find out the natural frequency in terms of radian per second. So omega n we need to calculate. Okay, so omega n, we know the formula is under root k by m. So here k value is given like 36 pi square and m is 1. Okay, So simply we can write it down over here. So 36 pi square whole under root, so that we can calculate as 6 pi. Okay, and it will be in terms of radian per second. And see, in this your options are given in terms of your hertz, so we need to find out the natural frequency in terms of hertz. So 6 pi we have to convert into the hertz term. So how can we do that? So we know that omega n is equal to 2 pi f, okay, where f in hertz. Okay, so that is the 1 by t, that is the ratio of time period. Okay, so we have to find out the value of f over here, that is asking to find out here. So omega n we calculated as 6 pi, and we have to divide it by 2 pi. So I can write 6 pi divided by 2 pi. So if we will be calculating this one, then we can calculate it as 3, and this unit will be as hertz. So we'll be getting our answer as 3 hertz. So our answer is matching with option 3 again. So our option number 3 will be the correct answer over here. So that is 3 hertz. So moving towards next question, that is question number 14. So a joint that facilitates rotation about axis but arrests the displacement is a which type of joint? Options are given like this: cutter joint, knuckle joint, or spigot joint, or socket joint. Okay, so in case of your knuckle joint, if we will see, so it is arresting the displacement of any shafts. Suppose two shafts are connected by the knuckle joint, then there is a arrest of the displacement. Okay, and it facilitates rotation about axis, as well as it facilitates a turning moment during at that joint. Okay, so it is only arresting the displacement of the shafts. Okay, from that point. So option 2 can be the our answer. Okay, so for question number 14, your option 2 will be the correct answer, that is knuckle joint. Next, there is question number 15. So for bolts of uniform strength, the shank diameter made is equal to what? Okay, so to get a uniform strength bolt, what is the shank diameter? We need to make the shank diameter equal to what? Okay, so basically if we'll be making any bolt whose shank diameter is equal to the thread diameter, then at that case what may happen? So whatever suppose we are applying any sudden load on your bolt, or any impact load on the bolt, then what may happen? It directly or same amount of stress is induced in the bolt as well as in the your shank, or it may happen maximum amount of stress is being induced in that threaded portion. So due to that, it may happen the threaded portion may be damaged. Okay, so to avoid that, so maximum stress should be induced at the shank where there is no thread. So to do that, what we need to do? We need to decrease the diameter of that shank. Okay, so by turning or by different operations that is being achieved. So what we need to do basically, so we need to decrease the diameter of the shank as compared to the thread diameter. So that's how we can get the maximum stress in the shank portion. Okay, otherwise we can do what? We can make a hole from the nut portion. Okay, head portion of the bolt towards the along the length of shank. Okay, so along the length of shank we have to make a hole from the your head of the bolt. Okay, so if we'll be doing that, then also we can decrease the surface area or cross-sectional area of the, okay, not surface area, about the cross-sectional area of the sank. So that's how also we can decrease we can increase the induced stress inside the shank. Okay, so here it is asking about the diameter of the your shank. So obviously it will be the minor diameter of the threads. Okay, options are given like this: major diameter of thread, pitch diameter of thread, nominal diameter of thread. Okay, so we have to make the diameter smaller as compared to the thread diameter. So we have to make the shank diameter will be equal to minor diameter of threads. So here option number 3 will be the correct answer for this question. So moving towards next question, that is question number 16. So a tapered roller bearing can take, okay, which type of load? Options are given like this: the radial load only, axial load only, both radial and axial load, and the ratio of this being less than unity, or both the radial and axial load and the ratio is being greater than unity. So if we'll be considering about the tapered load, it can take both type of loads like radial and axial load, but it will be suitable for any radial load, and greater radial load can be taken. So the ratio of radial and axial load we can say is greater than unity. So option 4 will be the correct answer. Okay, so let us read something here. So tapered roller bearing are capable of carrying both radial and axial loads, but largely used for applications where a radial component is predominant. Okay, so where radial component is predominant means radial component is more than that of the axial component. So let us get some idea. So let us read some note points what you can remember. So the load carrying capacity of different types of rolling contact bearing, like first one, that is tapered roller bearing. So it can take heavy radial and thrust loads, okay, as we discussed now. Then angular contact bearing, it can take both radial and thrust loads as well. The next one, that is okay, that is cylindrical roller bearing. So it can take radial loads only. So cylindrical roller bearing, it can take only radial loads. And deep groove ball bearings, it can take radial as well as the axial direction. Okay, so do remember this. Next one, thrust bearing, it cannot take the radial load, only axial loads can be taken. Okay, so you can remember tapered roller bearing, it can take both the loads, angular, both cylindrical only radial, thrust bearing only your axial. Okay, deep ball bearing, it can take radial as well as in axial direction. Okay, so moving to our next question, that is question number 17. So it is telling that a rod of dimension 20 mm and 20 mm, so carrying an axial tensile load, it is given as 10 kilonewton, and the modulus of elasticity is given as 250 megapascal, and then strain induced due to this load. Okay, so we need to find out the strain induced. Okay, so from the simple relation we know that our sigma will be equal to, okay, that will be equal to E into epsilon, where E is the Young's modulus of elasticity, which is given as 250 megapascal, and epsilon, that is the strain, we need to find out strain induced, and sigma is the stress induced. Okay, so if we can find out the value of sigma, obviously we can calculate the value of epsilon, that is strain. So let us try to calculate the value of sigma. So for finding sigma, we have to find out the internal resisting force per cross-sectional area. And internal resisting force we can calculate as 10 kilonewton, which is given the tensile load. So 10 kilonewton will be the resisting force, and cross-sectional area, for calculating cross-sectional area, your dimension is given as 20 cross 20. Okay, so let us try to calculate that. So 10 kilonewton, so I am writing 10 into 10 to the power 3 divided by 20 mm, 20 mm, so I can write 20 into 20 into, so it is in mm, so I am converting it into the meter cube, so I have to multiply 10 to the power minus 6. Okay, so if I'll be taking this Young's modulus of elasticity to this side, so it will be divided over here, so I can multiply over here, that will be equal to 250 megapascal. So I am converting into pascal only, that is Newton per meter square, so I have to multiply again 10 to the power 6 over here. Okay, and that will be equal to epsilon that we need to calculate. So here 10 to the power 6, 10 to the power 6, that will be minus 6, that can be cancelled, and here 0 0 0, okay, 30, and this is 1000, that can be also cancelled. So here 2 cross 2 4, and this is 25, so it becomes 100. Okay, and in the numerator we are having with 10, so will be left with your epsilon, that will be equal to, in the numerator that will be equal to 10, and then in denominator we are having with 100. Okay, so epsilon we can calculate as 0.1. Okay, so epsilon we can calculate it as 0.1, so 0.1 will be the correct answer. So we are matching with option number 1, that is 0.1. so correct answer for this question will be 0.1. so next question, that is question number 18. The ratio of shear stress and the shear strain of an elastic material is what? So it was a simple question. So ratio of shear stress and shear strain is called the modulus of rigidity. Okay, so modulus of rigidity is defined by the ratio of shear stress and shear strain. So for this question, option 2 will be the correct answer. The next question, that is question number 19. So a moment of 10 Newton is applied in the middle of the beam. Okay, so here a moment is applied which is given as 10 Newton meter. Okay, the magnitude of bending moment in the beam at that middle is what? So we need to calculate the bending moment at this point, that is the middle section. Okay, so let us try to calculate that. Okay, so at these two supports we'll be getting two reactions. Select this is point A and this is point B. So this reaction I will be getting RA, and this reaction I will be getting RB. Okay, and it will be doing the summation of your Fx. Okay, summation, and there will be no force along the x, that is x direction, so we can write only the summation of Fy is equal to 0. So along the y direction there are two forces only the reaction forces are the supports, so I can write Ra, okay, that is Ra plus Rb, that will be equal to 0. So I can write like this, Ra will be equal to what? Minus Rb. So whatever the value of reaction Ra will be equal to, the magnitude will be equal to same. Okay, magnitude will be equal, but the direction will be different. Okay, so from here we got to know, from the summation of that Fy, we got to know that what is the relation in between Ra and Rb. So now let us try to find out the value of any these two forces. Okay, so if we try to calculate that, so let us take moment about any point. So if I am taking a moment about this A, so if I am taking a moment about this A, then what? So moment of there is a single moment, and due to this force, that is Rb, will be getting a moment like this. So simply we can balance these two. So I can write Rb into this distance, that is 1 meter, and that will be equal to the moment only, so that will be equal to 10. So RB I can find out as that RB will be equal to 10 Newton. Okay. And RA, that's how we can also calculate, and that will be equal to minus 10 Newton. Okay, so now we have to calculate the moment at the middle of this beam. Okay, so at this point we need to calculate the moment. So we can take any of these two forces, okay, and try to calculate. So let in the left left, so here we will be getting a minus, okay, minus 10. We now calculate, and if we will be taking in this direction, then this is 10. So in the left half, if I will be considering the moment, then it will be somewhat in this direction and it will be in this direction. So in the left half I will be getting 10 into, so this distance we can say this is the half of this length beam, so I can multiply with 0.5. so 10 into 0.5 plus moment is 10 Newton meter, so that will be equal to 10, and that will be equal to moment at the middle, that point left C. Okay, so moment at C. So moment at C we can calculate from this value. So 10 point into 0.5, that will be equal to 5, that is minus 5 will be that, and this is 10. So totally moment will be getting as 5 Newton meter. Okay, so likewise also if we'll be trying to calculate in the right side, we'll be getting the same value, because this will be your 10. Okay. 10 and we'll be multiplying with 0.5, and this will be opposite to that, so we have to take this negative minus 5. Okay, and because this is a hugging moment, okay, so we'll be getting a moment like this. So due to that we have to take it negative. Okay, so here also we'll be getting our answer as 5 Newton meter. Okay, so for this question our answer will be the option 3. So for this question also your answer will be your option 3, that is 5 Newton meter. So moving towards next question for today. So a solid shaft, okay, so a solid shaft A, so shaft A diameter is given as D and length is given as L, is subjected to a torque. Okay, so another shaft B of same material, so material is same and length, okay, same material and length, so material is same as well as length is same, but half the diameter is also subjected to the same torque. Okay, so but the diameter is being halved. Okay, so diameter is being halved, so it is subjected to same torque, so torque is also same. So we need to find out the ratio of the angle of twist of shaft B to shaft A. So we need to find out the ratio of angle of twist, so that is theta we need to calculate, and the ratio of theta B to theta A we need to calculate. Okay, so finally we need to calculate the value of theta B divided by theta A. Sorry. So from the torsion equation we know that T by J, that will be equal to tau by R, that will be equal to G theta by L. So it will be combining these two terms, so excluding this one. So T G L is somewhat is given in this problem. So we need to find out theta. So theta I can write like T L by G J. Okay. So we need to find out to let this is theta B. Okay, so theta B, and that will be okay. So likewise we need to find out theta B by theta A. So theta B by theta A. So here if we see torque is same, so torque we need to write out, so that can be cancelled, length is also same, so that can be also cancelled. Material is also same, so we can say the rigidity, modulus of rigidity, that also will be cancelled. So this will be your JB. So only will left with your J, that is the polar moment of inertia. So theta b by theta a we can write like this, that will be, so it is the theta is inversely related with your polar moment of inertia. So theta b by theta a we can write like J a divided by J b. Okay, so let me clear all these things. Okay, so we can write theta b by theta a like J b, sorry, that is J a by J b. So it will be calculating this J a, then I can write as pi by 32 d4, and d we can write this is db4 divided by again pi by 32 dA4. Okay, so dA is simply equal to d, and dB it is being halved, so pi by 32 that can be cancelled, and dB I can write that will be equal to d by 2, so d by 2 whole 4 divided by your d4. So we can calculate as d4. Okay, and d4 can be cancelled, and we'll be getting 16 as our answer over here. Okay, so the ratio of angles of twist of shaft B to the shaft of shaft A. Okay, so we'll be getting as 16 as our answer. Okay, so 2 to the power 4, that will be equal to 16. So shaft the ratio of angle of twist, that is theta b by theta a, will be getting as 1 by 16, and you will be doing that okay, theta a by theta b, so we'll be getting as 16 as our answer. So for this question, option number 2 will be the correct answer. Okay, so with this we have reached at the end of lecture for today. So if you like these videos, then press on the like button which is given below, and if you are new here, then do subscribe our channel and press on the bell icon, so that you will be getting all the notifications from our channel whenever we'll be uploading any new video on this. And do share this with your friends or with your educational WhatsApp groups, so that maximum it can be shared, and all of the students who are preparing for Vizag Steel and different competitive exams related to mechanical engineering, they can be also benefited from this. So keep smiling. So thank you for watching.